All right, guys. Starting 2025 off right with a brand new series. I'm calling it Training Review, maybe Training Analysis. I don't know. It'll probably change names. It's going to have all kinds of different facets because I'm going to be going over different things that I find across different sports, striking and grappling, and giving my analysis of what's going on, if it's a good training method, or looking at skills and going into how to build those skills using a constraints-led approach, at least how I would from a speculative perspective, or if it's something I've tried before, or um, one of the people that I've coached before on coaching have tried it before, even better. So what I would like now is with this series launching, I would love for everyone to send me different clips and videos that you've found either in the Substack Messenger or you can email me, josh@combatlearning.com, and let me know what it is that you had, like if you just are interested in my thoughts in general, um, or if you have something specific that you'd like me to analyze about it. The more information you can add to me, the more useful I can be in analyzing a training situation. Or if you see something you like some tactics or some strategies, and you'd like to pick my brain in a way that would be instructive for everybody, I'll do that too. Um, and even better, if you have videos of your own students or your own training, and you'd like me to look at what you're doing, I'll take a look at that too. And I'll let you know what I think. And if I have some ideas on maybe how to do it better, or if you're doing it good, what I would follow up those exercises with. Really, it can go anywhere. The constraints-led approach is vast. All the other topics I talk about, motivation now, I've just released a post on motivation. Motivation is vast. So there's a lot going on with coaching, with lesson and learning design and analysis. This can, I think, be very, very instructive to everyone. So please, I would love y'all's input. Let me know what you're looking for. Send me videos if you come by them, and give me a little time and I will get to them. Now, this is totally free to everybody, but episodes going forward, most of them, occasionally I'll release them free. Most of them are going to be behind the paywall. I think it's like $5.99 right now, so it's like the cost of one or two coffees a month. So it's a pretty good cost to get access to all my premium articles on how to be better at applying the constraints-led approach, cutting edge thoughts on training methodology, what I'm doing to build tools to help people conceive of the ecological approach and get better at it at the same time, as well as these fun analysis videos, which I hope are instructive to everybody. So enough of me rambling. Let's head on over to the first video I've set up. Let's see if this will work right. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go over here to this window, and hopefully, I don't know if you can see my face anymore. If not, oh well, but you can hear my voice. Okay. Oh, maybe I can. Mm, no, there we go. Okay. Yo, we're doing this live. Not really, but I'm not going to edit this. Okay, so this guy, love his little logo. He's got an excellent program going on up there in, I believe, Colorado. He has a school of his own, but most notably, he has a very healthy and good college Taekwondo team. He also is teaching in Texas too, so maybe he's back and forth. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I followed him for on and off for a while. He used to produce a lot of heavy tips and tactical content. Now he just kind of produces little training highlights and sticks them in his Instagram stories. But this is one of his older ones, and it's really interesting because what he's going on over here, what he's going on about here is a defense drill for lead leg attacks. So the cut kick in Taekwondo, for anyone that doesn't know, is a quick lead leg attack. It can be used to score, but most often it's used to disrupt the enemy from coming in and set up scoring techniques with the front and the back leg. Very, very tricky if you've never dealt with it. Old school Taekwondo people absolutely hate it because it's not pretty and it doesn't go along with their old school aesthetic that they want out of Taekwondo. But the tactic itself, and it's so broad. I mean, it's a meta. Like the cut kick meta is a thing. You literally can't compete at any level beyond the worst local tournament unless you have a cut kick game of some sort. Um, it's a undisputed master strategy slash tactical spectrum. The cut kick's really a tactic, but it's so wide. It's like a strategy. So, all right, let's check this out. See what he's got going on. See what his rationale is, and we're going to critique it from an ecological approach. Okay, so but in boxing, many of you know this, but if you're a jiu-jitsu head and you like never do any, you never see anything about striking, these heavy a lot of coaches started using pool noodles instead of pads. I'm not exactly sure why, because the impact is not as good. Like it's the noodles light. And this evolved into like these sort of heavy they look like long like they wrap up a huge sausage or something. It's like ridiculous looking. They have some weight to them. They're almost like sandbags, and they use those. Um, the best I could guess is because it's longer and it's got clean lines, and that's why they use them. But this became a big thing in boxing a few years ago. I don't know if it is anymore. It's sort of one of these weird training doohickeys that sort of pops up and everyone gets on it because it looks, I don't know, it looks different, it looks novel. Awful, but we'll get into that, why that is in a second. So he's adopting this for Taekwondo for the cut kick defense. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to ask a couple of rhetorical questions. I know that nobody's here to answer the question, but I want to ask them as questions because questions stimulate you to think. So, like Dora the Explorer, I'm going to give a little pause, let you think for a second, so that you can understand where my mind is at and probably the direction you should be headed for whenever you analyze a task, right? So, the first question is, do you think a pool noodle weighs as much as a leg? Of course it doesn't. Do you think that would affect the quality of motion that you would need to use, hand or leg, in order to successfully cancel or counter to frustrate a cut kick? Yeah, it would. Now, along the lines of the weight of the leg, do you think that you can move a pool noodle with your arm quicker than you can move your leg? In most cases, yes. If you're a very strong, tiny, athletic dude or lady, I don't know, maybe arguably you could kick almost as fast as a noodle. But generally speaking, there's a huge speed differential there. And as you see here, they're artificially slowing it down anyways. Because if this were a live task with genuine energy And the task of the noodle guy was simply to get you with the front of the noodle, there would be nothing. I mean, you would have to go into clinch or something. There really would be no game, and there would be very few options relevant to Taekwondo for the defensive player. So the value of this for managing a cut kick is already very low, but we haven't even gotten to the most important part, and that is the structural information of the cut kicker's body that we must read to understand if a cut kick is coming. Now, let's look at this real quick, see if it doesn't cut. Now, notice how his shoulder goes forward, the arm goes forward, the legs don't really move anywhere. Now, when you cut kick, what's going to happen? Your weight shifts back. Your shoulders go back. The less flexible you are, the more it's going to have to go back. But no matter how flexible you are, your shoulders have to go back and your hips must shift back. Now, when you see somebody shifting back and forth on their from one hip to another, that can be a minute movement. But when they do that, can you perceive it? Yes, you can. Would the shifting of the hips be useful information that a lead leg kick is coming? Also, yes. Would that affect, thinking in terms of the environment athlete system? Uh-oh. Hold on, boys and girls. There we go. The gesture, it doesn't like my, well, it does like my gestures. That's why it zoomed in. It's AI. Guys, robots are stupid. I don't know if you know this or not. Robots are dumb. They don't understand context. Anyways, thinking in terms of the athlete environment coupling, the reciprocity of the two, how deeply tied they are. Okay. Would that be useful information of what Dr. Rob Gray calls the present future? That is, that a kick is coming. Maybe you don't exactly know that it's a cut kick yet, but we're constantly monitoring the situation, right? We're not predictive processors. We are prospective motor control people. Prospecting mean that we are creating information and that we are constantly monitoring information for the unfolding future, the present future is what Dr. Rob Gray calls it. A little bit of a philosophical term, but I really like it because it kind of explains what's happening, the directionality of what's going on. There's only two options, right? He's faking, it's a drawing motion, or he's actually about to kick. Now, when somebody's faking, there's a 100% chance in the future that one of those motions is actually going to materialize into a kick unless you do something like jam them or something, right? So there's really only two options, faking or kicking. It's a little bit of a tangent, but all of that is really useful information to understand when the cut kick is coming and where the cut kick might be going. So they go at slightly different levels. Cut kicks go at different levels too, usually towards the lower part of the hogu, towards the as close as you can get to the hip, while on the hogu, which can be pretty nasty, by the way, if somebody misses. I've been hit in Olympic sparring with a black belt, and get you good. If it doesn't lock your knees and send you on the ground, it's going to hurt pretty bad. And I accidentally missed and didn't kick high enough on another black belt, and he was limping for like 2 days. It was an accident. I didn't even, so that sucks. But yeah, so like, what is the information profile? Is the information anywhere near what you're going to see in the environment. And does it overlap? It actually is zero overlap whatsoever. So with that in mind, on on what basis does this have any utility for Taekwondo practice? My argument is that it has virtually none. Practicing movements in isolation, as I've written and spoken on many times, it doesn't make a lot of sense because every movement is slightly different in a sparring match, and it's slightly different because it's scaled directly to the opponent's actions, not because you're bad at technique or your technique is inconsistent, because you automatically scale it to the environment. It adapts to the needs of the task. It says he's going pretty fast. I don't think so. I don't think so. Now that's interesting. So he does now. So now you directly see maladaptive tactics, and you can tell they're maladaptive. I can tell they're maladaptive for two reasons. First of all, because this motion right here, hopefully the robot doesn't have a conniption fit again. This motion, so these muscles are, that's really difficult to do against a heavy, um, with the elbow that low and everything, against a heavy leg, okay? And you have a cut kick coming in. It might not be as fast as a noodle, but it has force because it's being moved by the muscles of your legs. You think you're just going to do this little kung fu movement, this little dainty Rick Flist to push that off? I mean, not unless your shoulders are bowling balls. So this is that is a maladaptive tactic right off the rip. You also don't really see that. You don't really see that. If you see a motion with the palm facing forward, it's either there um, as a sort of incidental blocking technique, where you can kind of glue the elbow into the wrist. I mean the not the wrist, the rib cage or whatever, and kind of bolster it, or it's to press over the leg, which he does over here, and that's that you see that in competition all the time. To apply force and press the leg off its axis so that you dissipate the force of it, open up opportunities to move in or to kick if your legs are long enough, depends on what your needs are in terms of your height and your distance. So this is an example of how doing something with poor information fidelity, let's call it, okay, the representativeness is low. This leads directly to what the boogeyman, bad habits. But we don't look for bad habits in this kind of stuff. For a lot of Taekwondo people, this is revolutionary because this is like different than one-step sparring. And it looks different than mitt work and pad work. So it's like, whoa, noodles moving around. We've got half our sparring gear on. This is so cool. It's not cool, guys. Sorry. Counter kick. So there's an element of timing here, but the information is wrong. They look like fencers. So you're learning to riposte or whatever I don't know what you guys, I don't know French. You're learning to counter fencing moves with a noodle. Um, Two more things. So the information is mismatched, but here's the next thing. Look at so they're not making contact. I would at least want you to touch so that if you're going to do something so light, maybe as a warm up or something, and it's got some overlap in information stuff. Fine, right? I'd rather they wear Hogu and put a little more contact into it. Doesn't have to be full contact, but put a little pop into it. their range is messed up for two reasons. One, because they're not even going to all the way to the body. They're not making contact. Number two, the noodles in the arms have a different range than your own lead leg. So you're not leading the range. And this is like one of the hardest distance management is one of the hardest things in striking. And it doesn't matter the sport, kickboxing, Muay Thai. You have to move the back leg to get in range if your leg isn't long enough. And that is all used for information to estimate if you're safe and if you're not safe, if you're close enough to score. That's not present here. It's also lackluster. So, what is the purpose of this? I mean, from an ecological approach, from a scientific approach, I mean, even from a like a Schmidt schema theory, I'd be kind of wondering what's going on here because almost everything is missing. And it's not demanding, so it's not a conditioning exercise at all. It's just very, you know. And this pace would be it would be fine if there was a more realistic range and the actual information was closer to what you'd get, like they're actually using their legs. But it's not. So, what's the purpose? Yeah, nobody really kicks to the head here. It's kind of a nice thought. Now this is better, but a Taekwondo person might look at this and think that this is like some form of aliveness, but it's not. Watch. So it's scripted, stimulus response, and when the guy that feeds the attack, the feeder, once he does his one thing, he just stops. He kind of does a little bit of a defensive thingamabob, but this is interesting. Look at his defense. Oh, let's back up a little bit. Watch this defense here. This is actually an important part of Taekwondo defense. He does quote on well, she would have got him there, but he does quote unquote the right thing, right? That lean is really important. You don't want to lean too much, but if you're at the right range, that isn't a really important, and you see this in competition all the time. That's an important way to keep your front leg in range to score or to cut kick without getting points scored on you. So that lean is awesome. But you have to pursue the kick no matter what. In a real match, if you were to detect the lean early, and this is a part of prospective control, that feedback loop is constantly open. New information unfolding. You can change the movement later into the execution than you think. Not infinitely, but if you've got a strong leg and good reading skills, you can adjust tactics. But here, you have to do the script. So even if you see the guy doing a good defensive tactic against what you're doing, you can't adapt. So this is really interesting because I'm assured, I mean, sworn up and down on their mothers and their children and their ancestors that the habits you build in training are the habits that you default to. So if you spend your time going through scripted tactics when you see the proper defense happening and you don't adapt in a way that will actually let you score, what's going to happen in competition, you think, based on that logic? Well, I think based on that logic and my logic, I think it doesn't matter what you believe, that doesn't add up. I like those kind of arguments. The kind of sometimes when you read philosophy, The real clever philosophers, they try to find little positions where they can argue the position from like every major view. That's what's going on here. There's always a rationale, right? When you throw somebody's logic back at them, there's always some creative reason why. Oh, now it wants to follow me. Go back. Yeah, go back, buddy. Come on, go back. I'm talking to it like a dog now. Whatever. It can follow me if it wants. There, boy. Uh, you throw the logic back on them. Oh man, there's always a reason. There's always a reason. Does it make sense? Does it correspond to reality? That's not the point, I guess, right? As long as you have a reason, it's good, right? That's the game. That's the whole game of training methodology. Not a pursuit of perfection, like we try to perfect technique. It is a pursuit of how creative can I come up with a reason for doing this thing I think is cool? Please don't tell me my cool thing is not that useful. Please. Please, that hurts my ego because I'm a good coach and I have good athletes and they do well in competition. There's no way anything I do is not that good. So now we're dealing with actual energy there. That's interesting. Oh man, YouTube is unwatchable. Okay, this is a different video, so we're going to move on to the next thing. So that's interesting there at the end. Um, so this also deals with canceling. Canceling is, I think I mentioned very, very briefly, that's how you disrupt an incoming cut kick, and it's one of the major defenses to dealing with a cut kick. You can do different blocks and stuff with the hands too, but the lifting your leg and pretending to kick in a certain way, um, the judges will not count that as a leg check. If you do like a Muay Thai leg check or you kick the leg on purpose in an obvious way, you will get docked a point and eventually you will get disqualified. However, if you find ways to cancel or disrupt the kick that look like you're kicking towards the Hogu, we call that a cancel. Um, in the cancel, according to referees, is kosher. You will not find this is a very interesting thing about competition and constraints. The referee 100% is a major constraint that creates far-reaching influences on the way that the combat modality, the competition modality evolves. I'm sure you see this in jiu-jitsu. In Taekwondo, we have an entire realm of strategy and tactics that is, according to the official rule book of World Taekwondo, illegal. But the judgment of referees has created a meta, like the cut kick meta. You also have the cancel meta for dealing with the cut kick that does not penalize what on paper should be illegal. So the only way to know is to compete or to talk to somebody who competes a lot. All right, so what we've got here are what are purported to be cancel kicking drills. Now, let's apply the same line. Let's watch this real quick and then apply the same line of questioning that we did before. So the canceling from the bottom has to move the leg up off his axis. Counter cut kicking. There's a few. I don't think that's all of the different things that you can do, but I shared a video from one of my friends. It's a technical instructional video. As far as they go, it's pretty good. So it doesn't really do a lot on specific tactics, but for this, it's like The general tactic is kind of the specific tactic. He just shows you the general options that are available to you, disrupting the cut kick from the bottom, from the outside, from the inside, and just disrupting the kick, dissipating the energy, and then creating an opportunity for you to act in response, hopefully to score. What's going on here is, okay, paddles are light if you've never used paddles before. Most of this is done at the very end of the leg, so towards the ankle or on the ankle. So that's the end of the lever of your leg. Two things are pads, paddles, as heavy as a leg? No. Would you want to cancel an incoming cut kick with the weight of somebody else's leg with the end of the lever of your leg? No, for two reasons. First of all, because your hip muscles are going to be super strained. It's going to be very difficult. Number two, you would be so much farther away that you don't even need to use the tactic. Why would you do that? You're too far away. Even if you somehow successfully dissipated the kick, you have to cover way more ground to get inside. So what's the point of it? So the distance management is way off. Now, Alex Wong, she's a OG Taekwondo person. She went all over the place. She did MMA for a while. I don't think she ever fought, but she did content like that way back in the day. And I think she's inactive now, but she was very popular. But this is the kind of stuff that looks dynamic. It looks cool. It even looks kind of alive, you know? If you don't have a principled idea of what aliveness is, you might be fooled into thinking this is alive. But the information doesn't match at all. So there's no context. And in addition to what I just said, there's no context. There's no information to understand when to actually do the cancel. And because of that, the range is screwed up. So if you're trying to understand why somebody's doing something and it just is like always going wrong, well, ask yourself what information is missing. What part of the performance environment or the performance context, what is missing here that would be here otherwise? It's a good place to start. Good question to ask yourself if you're trying to diagnose. All right, let's look at something that's good. It's actually good here. Okay, so this is from an article, premium article. I wrote how to manipulate constraints to build deep skill. If you're not a premium member, not only are you going to get access to these review videos now, because the subsequent ones are going to be behind the paywall, but you also get access to all my library of all the things I've written, many of which are very extensive, very detailed, and they have actual examples from videos, real exercises, right? And I'd love to, it's actually hard to find really good stuff, especially in traditional martial arts. So please, I want to reiterate, if you're doing something cool, and you want me to take a look at it, and you're comfortable with it being on the website, please send it to me. And not only will I analyze it, if it's really good and I really, really like it, I will use it in my work as examples because I would love to get more games, different types of games, different interesting exercises, all this stuff together. Okay. So please, 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 if you've got something cool, get it on tape, send it over. But please remember, if you don't want it on the website, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to analyze it, and if it's really good, I'm going to use it. Um, I won't use it. I won't use it to be critical. So if if it's just something that I analyze to be and I have constructive criticism, I will do that, but I won't put it in an article or anything as an example of how to do it wrong or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, we've looked at a lot of garbage. Sorry, I like these people. Like I don't want. I'm not bitter or anything. I'm just being funny. We've looked at a lot of not good stuff. Okay, here's some good stuff. I have no idea. This is a Thailand something or other Taekwondo place. I guess you got to go to Thailand to get some real great Taekwondo training. If you want to build better cut kicks and better cancels, do something like this. Let's check it out. So we've got some constraints going on. This music is kind of weird, right? Okay, let's pause it for a second. Okay, so they're limited to the front leg. You don't want to spend all your time doing that, but that is a fantastic game. You want to build the lead leg, do the lead leg. This is from open stance, do it from open stance. You can do it from only open stance, you can do it from only closed stance, or you can do it where the players are allowed to switch whenever they want. Probably there's reasons to do all three of those, but if you don't have a specific reason, I would let them switch sides. Let them explore as much as possible, right? Um, you see a lot of cut kick specific stuff, but you also see cuts to round kicks, right? Different lead leg tactics. This is total all around lead leg tactic construction or development, rather. Okay. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I love this so much. I wish I could walk into every single dojang and train like this. Man, I would have a blast. And you would too. Guaranteed. Dude, look how good this is. It's very safe, but the kids, man, look how clean those cancels are. Look, and he's fine. Okay, so man, did you catch that? If you don't know what you're looking at, you might think this is sloppy. This is not sloppy. I wonder if I could I probably can slow this down. Oh, dude, we gotta slow. This is so good. Okay, playback speed. Let's go. Frame rate's not good, so this is I don't know how this is going to turn out. Let's go half speed. Okay, red, I believe. Okay, red. Okay. Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay. Blue moves in. Red tries to kick with a round kick, lead leg round kick. Look at blue. His leg comes up underneath. You gotta have a little flexibility for this. So work on your Cossack squats. Work on your wall kicks with the maybe put some ankle weights on or something. Do your internal rotations here. But most importantly, do cut kick sparring. He comes up underneath. It catches on the shin near the knee. Now, the way their bodies are positioned, the blue player is going to find himself, his leg is going to be on the outside of red player's lead leg. Because he caught the kick on the way in with an upward motion. He's underneath. Watch. Round kick, chucks the leg over. Now, red, his back is exposed. This is what you want. He has to reorient himself now. People talk about the OODA loop all the time. Personally, I find it cringe. People I like talk about the OODA loop, so I'm not going to be too critical. But you do have to reorient yourself when these things happen. So now, blue's a little bit far, but he's going to hop. He's going to slide to close the distance. I don't know if that would score, but he probably could have if he were a little bit more accurate. He hits the back there. Now he only maybe it would score because I think the sensors on the back are a little more sensitive now on dado systems. They're not wearing dado right now, but if they were competing, bro, that would have been a clean lead leg round kick body shot. I think it's only 1 point, but bro, it's a point. A point's a point. Okay. Very cool. Now look at that. That was a good. Oh, dude. I'm such a fan of these kids. So red comes back in for a counter kick. Blue brings that elbow up and presses over. Notice how it's closer to the center line when he does this instead of up here with that. You remember the little dainty kung fu move the other guy was doing? Presses him right off. This is so subtle, guys. Presses him right off center, and then he pulls out a twist kick. He doesn't even have to move the footwork. Pulls out the twist kick. Now, I don't know if it would have scored or not. It's hard to tell. I don't think it's very. Let's check. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So red moved right out of range. Blue might have, it looked like he has a little bit of external rotation flexibility problem. Maybe it was just a half-hearted technique. They're exploring right now. They're having fun. This is all great, right? So he sees the opportunity. He knows that tactic is viable. And the next time he tries it, maybe he puts a little more gusto into trying to make it score or make it land. But this is so good, guys. So this is what I'm looking for, okay? This is what's up. I'm gonna go over. I don't know if next episode I'll do this or maybe the episode. I want to do jujitsu next. Yeah, this stuff is so good. Sweet. I'm gonna do jujitsu next, but I also want to look at sport karate stuff because that's where I started. Even it was under the name Taekwondo, but a lot of Tang Sudo Taekwondo people, real old school style. A lot of ITF guys in America. They all do the point sparring, the point break sparring. Especially with international rule style with the that's more like Japanese and with the leg sweeps and everything. That stuff I think is really cool. It is underappreciated. And there's a lot of stuff that's good that transfers to whether it's kickboxing, taekwondo, maybe even Muay Thai. Maybe even Muay Thai. It's quite a bit different than Muay Thai, but maybe even you'll get something for that. And I know um, that there are several coaches, respectable coaches, that actually agree with that. And if you're a karate guy, you know that Lyoto Machida and Wonder Boy Thompson are two shining examples of identifiably sport karate based styles, not Kyokushin, sport karate based styles that instantiate in sport karate, unique sport karate stance, tactics, strategies, movements, very different from Dutch kickboxing. Not very different from Dutch kickboxing, but certainly different from Muay Thai, right? Different from a lot of MMA sparring that's going on, or MMA striking rather, that's going on. So, all right. I hope you all enjoyed this. Getting a little long-winded here, but that was fun. I had fun. Uh, these uh, these these Thai kids doing awesome Taekwondo constraints-led approach training here by intuition is really the highlight of the video, and it makes me very warm in my heart. Guys, if I do nothing else, I'm going to make everybody a raging fan of sport Taekwondo and a connoisseur of Taekwondo kicking, Korean kicking technology, so to speak. Okay? That was my plan the whole time. I drew in all the jiu-jitsu and the MMA striking and the kickboxers, and now I'm going to convert you to Taekwondo, all right? All right. Send me your videos. I'll take a look at them. Peace.